Hello everyone, my name is Abhishek and welcome back to my channel. So as I told you guys on the community tab, I'm going to start a new series called DevOps Interview Experiences. And today I have a very special guest with me, that is Apna PIYUSH Bhai. So many people might already know PIYUSH because he is very active on LinkedIn, on his own YouTube channel, and he is currently working as a DevOps and cloud engineer with Google. So this is going to be a very interesting episode where we are going to understand the DevOps cloud interview process at Google, how to prepare for it, and some tips and tricks by PIYUSH Bhai. So yeah, let me give it over to PIYUSH Bhai to introduce himself for the people who don't know him.
Thank you so much, Abhishek bhai. Thank you for inviting me. It's such a pleasure talking to you. I have seen your work. I have seen your YouTube videos. I have learned a lot from them. Like your day 0 to day 45 DevOps CI/CD series. That's amazing. That's brilliant. Even paid courses doesn't have that quality of material and content like
Yeah, thank you very
whatever you are providing free of cost. So that is really commendable, and I am really excited to have a discussion with you on this YouTube channel.
much. You are a kind person. Thank you so much. Yeah. Even I follow all your YouTube videos, PIYUSH Bhai. Thank you so much. So yeah, for our subscribers, I'm very sure this is going to be a very exciting one because for everyone, Google is a dream company, right? We all have been using Google right from our childhood, and getting into Google is a dream. So I'm going to ask you some important questions, and yeah, I'll try to get each and every answer from you for all the questions that subscriber have. So the very first question, PIYUSH Bhai, how to apply for Google? Because many people keep trying in different ways, right? But very few people even succeed in getting the interview calls from Google. I'm not even talking about getting successful through the interview, but how to even apply for it in the right way.
Okay. So, I'll tell you what I did, like what happened in my case and what worked out for me. So I didn't apply for Google.
Okay.
Recruiter reached out to me over LinkedIn, and then things went from there. So how it happened, I'll tell you in brief. So I started, contributing to the community through my blog posts, through my YouTube channel, like around 2 years back when I started the channel, and I've
Which
started
community?
writing blogs as well.
Which
Sorry?
community have you started contributing?
Oh no, I was saying like I started contributing to like the YouTube and blogs. Yeah. So like DevOps and cloud community, I started with that. I started with AWS first, and I started creating different content on that. And then I was accepted as AWS community builder for the work that I was doing for the AWS community. And so I was really active on LinkedIn. That's how like recruiter reached out to me over LinkedIn. And then they said there is a role in Google which is a TSC role. It's called technical solutions engineer. Like the rest of the world, in Canada it is technical solutions developer because of some compliance issues over here. And so that's how it started, and then things went from there. So for me, like I never applied for it actually, but it just happened.
But I think this is a usual pattern, right? I
Yes.
spoke to other people as well, whoever I try to reach out and ask, like, how did you get into Google? I think it's more of a common practice that recruiter try to find the right person.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So they have a brilliant team of recruiter who just keep an eye outside, like what people have been doing, how they are contributing to the community, or if they are adding some value to any work that they are doing.
Exactly.
Like community contribution doesn't mean to contribute to the code, like the open source code. It could be anything, like a blog post, a tutorial, an article, or webinars, podcast, anything that could add some value to the listeners or to the viewers. So that's what they keep looking out, and I was lucky enough to get a chance to do that.
No, you are deserving enough. Yeah. So like, okay, once you got the interview call, right? Or the recruiter basically approach you. So what was the job description like? Because in each company it's different. Like people in general call it DevOps and cloud, But how does it work in Google? Like, what is it called? Yeah, just give me a brief.
Yeah. So for me, when he reached out to me, I was really afraid because I never had the courage to even apply for Google, because when we hear about working at Google, we hear about data structures, algorithms, coding, and everything that people like me are afraid of. So I never even dared to apply. But when I got to know about it, the first question I asked, how many rounds would it be, and like what type of rounds would it be, whether there's going to be a coding round or there's a data structure round. And then that's when I got to know about the role. So it was a cloud engineer role, basically into the cloud support, GCP support. As I had experience with AWS and Azure previously, I never worked on GCP, but I worked on the other two clouds. So that helped me get into that. So this role is called technical solutions developer in Canada. And as I said, like in India and rest of the world, it's been known as technical solution engineer. And there is a similar role, which is technical solutions. It's called TSS, technical solutions specialist. So these two are similar role into the GCP cloud support. And this role is not just for GCP support, it's for workspace support as well. Like all the G Suite applications that we have, Gmail, all those other things.
So
yeah.
There is nothing called DevOps engineer role in Google.
It's a SRE role. So if you know about it, so SRE, the term itself was created by Google like a few years back, and then it's been adopted by other companies as well. So that's what they hire for. That's what they look. SRE have different job responsibilities than a cloud support or a DevOps engineer. They just don't work on the automating part of it, but they also make sure the production is reliable and like monitoring, alerting, usability, everything. So they takes care of that, and SRE remains on call as well for any production related issues that customers might have. So that's what it has. Like in Google, there is this SRE role. So there are other cloud roles as well. There are a lot of other cloud roles. Like there is like into technical sales, there is cloud solution architect. There is cloud architect. Then there are technical account managers. Then we have there are like within cloud itself. Cloud is not just about one cloud engineer. That's it. It's not like that. So there are multiple roles based on multiple skill specialization, and then into every specific role there are like specialization. For example, I'm working in cloud support. So for me, my specialization is into GKE and DevOps tools like cloud deploy and all those monitoring, alerting, logging, all those things. So that is my specialization, and the same way it works for others as well.
So you don't have to be a specialist in Google Cloud if you are applying for Google, or if someone is reaching out to you.
So
as you said, if you have relevant cloud experience in AWS or Azure, that also works. Right?
Yes, exactly. Because like the cloud. So I have seen people being accepted in this role and in other roles as well in Google who don't even have any cloud experience. Like people from administration background, like Linux administration or Windows administration, sysadmins, DBAs, all those are also have been given the same chance to apply for this role, and they have been, because of the other skills that they have. Cloud is like something that has evolved in previous few years. But if someone has the basic administration experience or the basic knowledge how a system works, then it is easier for those people to understand cloud. Like, because cloud also has the same thing, like it has load balancers, it has virtual machines, the same infrastructure that an on-premises system would have.
Different names.
So it's just different names. So that's how it is.
So just to summarize for people who are watching till now, right? So what PIYUSH said till now is that, like, basically it has to be more of recruiters who try to approach you, but for getting that, you have to maintain a strong profile, not on your resume, but on the community side. Try to do your work on the AWS. You can be an AWS champion. You can contribute to CNCF, write some blogs, even you can be active on LinkedIn. And once you get there, right, don't be afraid that, you are getting a call from Google. So you need to have strong experience in GCP. It can be your relevant experience on AWS or Azure. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, Piyush bhai. And next question that I have is, how did you actually prepare for this? Like, okay, you said that you are already a AWS community builder, right? And you have some blogs and all. But after getting this Google interview call and you came to know about the job description, right? What was your preparation after that?
Sure. So first, like when I got the job description, I had a call with one of the recruiters who reached out to me, and I have tried to understand the interview, like the number of interviews and the interview pattern for this particular role, right? So one thing I got to know that it doesn't have DSA or any coding round. There is a coding troubleshooting round, like a code snippet will be given to you and you have to dry run the code and you have to find the mistakes in the code and make it usable. So that was it, but you don't have to write the code. So there were actually 4 specializations that they were hiring for. It was platform. Platform has like all the serverless services within GCP, like cloud functions and all others.
Okay.
Then there is infra, for which I applied. And then there was networking, and then there is data. So data has not just database, but AI ML as well, all those things. So I tried to understand all 4 roles that were applicable for my profile. And because I was open with the recruiter, I told him like, I don't have a lot of coding experience. I'm not really good at it. And cloud is my specialty, and I'm good with DevOps, CI/CD, and cloud. That's what my expertise comes from. But I'm not a coding type of guy. So he told me like, if that is the case, you should apply for either infra or networking. Those 2 roles were the best suitable roles for me, because in platform there was a coding round. You have to write the code, because it's the role is mainly on the serverless service. You cannot handle serverless without knowing the code and everything.
I think.
But even then, like but even then, for this role as well, there is like, you should know the code troubleshooting and how to read the code, like the basics of it. So and the coding language will be of your choice. Like they won't impose any coding language on you. It will be like as per your preference. So I tried to understand the pattern and everything, and then I got to know, okay, so these are the rounds, and then I started my preparation based on that.
Awesome. So Piyush bhai, you got attention from a lot of viewers now, because when you said that coding and data structures is not that required, so most of the DevOps engineers might be very, very happy because.
So there is not just this role. So I'll tell you this, because even I afraid of it. So when I open YouTube, there are a lot of influencer out there who just put this word out that if you didn't do DSA, or if you didn't do coding in your college, or if you don't do it, you won't get job. You don't have any life, in IT. That's what the environment is out there. But let me tell you this frankly, this is not the case. Like,
exactly.
Like coding is not for everyone. Not everyone enjoys doing the coding. Right. So, but there are a lot of different roles. We are not living in the same era as we were living in like 10 or 15 years back. Exactly. We have like roles such as technical account manager, we have solution architects, we have cloud architect. All these roles, this doesn't require you to code on the actual, hardcore coding. It doesn't require that. You should have the basic administration knowledge, cloud knowledge, how system works, how OSI layer, how OSI model works, all those things. So that's what I've majorly focused on, like not the coding part, but scripting is must, and in any language. And then the other things that I have mentioned already. So system administration, networking knowledge, if it is relevant to cloud, so knowledge of cloud, yes, definitely. And then CI/CD, monitoring, alerting, infrastructure as a code, all those things.
So I think that's a very good point that you have made. You don't have to be an expert in coding, or if you are not good at coding, because many people face this problem, right? When people are in college, or even people might have tried coding for a couple of years and they might not be good at it. And you don't feel that if you don't, if you're not good at coding, then you cannot apply for tier 1 companies. That's totally wrong. There are multiple opportunities right now, like PIYUSH stated. And if you can build your strong profile in cloud, then the opportunities is like ocean for you.
Yeah, exactly.
So PIYUSH, I think then we'll come to the most important question. Format. What is the format or the interview structure of Google? How many rounds? Is it tedious? How it was for you? Yeah.
It was not tedious for me because I have interviewed with AWS before this multiple times. So I was kind of similar, like this also had the similar pattern, right? So they have, like in AWS as well, they have around 4, 5 or 6 rounds back to back, like 10 minutes break in between each round. And then you move ahead to other round. And then there is a hiring committee who just take feedback from all the interviewers and make a collective decision. So it's not like you have not cleared the first round and you won't go in the second round. It's like you will be given the chance to attend all the rounds. And based on the collective feedback, the decision is make whether they're going to hire you or not hire you, or hire you for some different position, or like a lower level of role or a +1 level of role. So all those decisions will be made based on the collective outcome of all the rounds, like how you performed overall. That was the pattern. So for me, like in Google, it was around 5 rounds, if I remember. Like there was one round before the interview day. So there was one with the recruiter. It was like a informal discussion over the call, where he just tried to understand my experience and shared all those different perks and benefits of being a Googler and all those things. On the interview day, so there were one round which is like troubleshooting, code troubleshooting round. So because, as I said, I was not really good with the programming, so I chose Bash scripting as my preferred language of choice. So there was a script given to me. It was a huge complex script, and it was on a Google Doc. So I don't have any terminal to run the code and make the changes. So I just have to dry run it and explain the code line by line. That was one of the rounds. Then there was round for Linux administration, like basic Linux. No, it was not basic. It was really in depth, but there were a lot of questions around it. And there was one round for talking about my experience, and it was like they were asking me questions based on what I have provided them. Like, this is what I know, this is what I have done. So there were questions based on that. There was one leadership principles round. So leadership principle, so it's called Googlieness round, right? So Googlieness is they evaluate you based on your attitude, your how you interact with the others, how you like. So they just want to know whether you are culturally fit for Google or not. So so there are some Google principles. So if I'll share the link as well. There is a website for Googliness and leadership principles that they follow. So all the questions that they have, it's based on that. And there was one round which is behavioral round as well. In that round, there was a hypothetical and scenario based question, like tell me a time. So there was two type of questions. One is hypothetical, another is behavioral. So hypothetical, like hypothetical was, let's assume you are in this situation and you have been given this task. How would you how would you achieve it, or what would be your steps that you're gonna take? And then there'll be behavioral round, in which they would give you based on your past experience, like tell me a time when you had to do this, what was the outcome of it, how you achieved it, right? So those questions, based on the star methodologies, like you form your answer based on star, and you have to give your answers on them.
Basically, you have to be also, at that point of time, you have to be very spontaneous as well, right? Because there is scenario-based questions, you always have to think very much, right?
Yeah, exactly. And if there are a lot of questions, you'll be really confused at that moment, because when you are sitting in front of the interviewer, at that moment, it happens, everything happens within a blink of an eye. And you don't have a lot of time to think about all your previous experiences. So whatever comes first in your mind, you just have to put it out and put it in such a way that interviewers, he or she will get impressed from your answer. So that's how it is. So how many rounds? So I guess I have explained 4 rounds, right?
Yeah,
so,
5 rounds, including the HR.
Yes. No. Okay. So HR round is excluding this one. So there is one more round. There was one round based on the Linux administration that I have told you. There was one more round based on Linux as well, but it was troubleshooting round. Like they will give you a scenario, and you have to troubleshoot based on the scenario given to you, and you have to ask questions based on them. Then they will ask some follow-up questions, like, okay, so they'll tell you, okay, this is the issue. They'll tell you, this is the issue, how would you resolve it? Then you ask question 8, okay, so what is the error that the customer is getting, or how is the architecture set up? So it's based on so there is no right or wrong answer. They just want to know how good you are in troubleshooting, and what is the shortest path that you will take to get to closest to the answer. And so that there was this 1 or 2 questions maybe, but it will go on for like 45 minutes, including all the follow-up questions and everything. Awesome. So yeah, that was it. So that was the whole day. And then after a couple of weeks or 3 weeks, the recruiter reached out to me that so there is a team matching round where you've been given the chance to have a talk with the hiring manager. And you can ask any question about it's just a discussion sort of round where you ask questions about the team, about the work, day-to-day responsibilities, and whatever doubts you have in mind. And then they just take some time and approvals and everything, because for me it happened during the New Year time, so it was holiday season. And so it took like around 2-3 months, but then recruiter reached out to me and said, okay, so this is what we have got the final package for you. And things went smoothly after that. So those 2-3 months were really hard to pass, because I didn't know what's going to happen next.
But PIYUSH bhai, is it a common thing that I've heard this from many people, that Google usually takes a lot of time to come back and say that you are selected or you are rejected? Is it a common thing, not just because of your
maybe because for me it was due to the holiday season, but it usually depends on a lot of factors, because when there are, let's say, 6 interviews involved, that means 6 people has to give feedback based on that. And then there is a hiring committee which is excluding these 6 people, and who evaluates the feedback given by those interviewers. And then there are a lot of approval process for package and all other things. So I guess it takes fairly a good amount of time, but not as much as like what it took in my case.
Got it.
And also it depends on the position that they are hiring for, if it is critical enough or like it can wait for some time, because they interview multiple people at the same time.
Got it.
So maybe
So PIYUSH bhai, overall, if I ask you, if you have to say the difficulty of the interview, would you rate the Google's, we are only talking about DevOps and cloud, because we are not, this discussion is not relevant to developers or any other thing. So overall, how would you rate the difficulty of the interview when you compare with any other things? Is it too difficult, or you think, is it like, okay, slightly more difficult? What would you say?
I would say like it was really like on 7 to 8 on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the toughest. So but so when you are preparing for any DevOps or cloud role, you have a roadmap that you follow, right?
Exactly.
So Linux administration, shell scripting, or whatever scripting language, and then CI/CD infrastructure, all those things are fine. But then there are some things that we always overlook, or we just underestimate. And those type of things, such as like OSI model, right? Like how DNS works.
Yeah.
What happens when you enter a website in your web browser, what happens behind the scene, the overall picture of it, load balancers, how it works, switches, routers, all those things, basic networking and infrastructure concept that we know it already, right? Everyone knows it. But when we ask some technical questions around it, let's say what protocols work on layer 4 or layer 7,
Exactly.
we usually don't know about it, because that's something that we have to remember, or if we are a networking guy, then only we understand it. So those are the things that we always underestimate, and those were the things that I found most difficult, because there were a lot of questions around those. So there was a whole round around those basic computer fundamentals, and it was a lot. But luckily I had some previous experience. So I'll tell you, before interviewing with Google, I was given the chance to interview with AWS. I interviewed for around 7-8 roles.
Oh, okay.
Within 3 years, like there is a 6 month of locking period, but sometimes it happened that I was interviewing for 2 or 3 roles at the same time.
Okay.
Right. So I interviewed for DevOps consultant, technical account manager, senior technical account manager, solution architect, software support engineer. There were different roles that I've interviewed with AWS. I was rejected every time. But
Oh,
those rejections taught me a lot of things. Like I would have never learned all those things by myself if I never really interviewed for those roles. So then only I got to know how important are these basic concepts of computer fundamentals. So then after all those everything that happened, so I studied everything that was asked in the interview and that I faced that I'm lacking in, and I prepared myself, and I was not even ready for the Google interview.
Yeah.
And because when I was rejected so many times, so it was I was like, okay, I'm gonna take now at least a year to upskill myself, to prepare myself, and then I'm gonna apply to AWS again. That's what my plan was. But God has other plans for me.
That's an inspiring story, right? Like you have been rejected for AWS a lot of times, but you reached the ultimate company, Google. So that's what that's an achievement. So PIYUSH, I think you said one very important thing that I want to address, that with this world of cloud, and what I've noticed people is that someone who gets access to the cloud, they directly go create a VPC, right? They create some subnet routes and all. And that's where people, I'm not talking about everyone, but few people, that's where they stop it and they don't try to deep down. Like, for example, the OSI model, like what happens from layer 7 to layer 1. What is layer 4, how the TCP traffic is going on, how layer 7 traffic.
Exactly.
That is very important for everyone who is watching these videos. So you should have strong computer fundamentals or strong OSI model layer fundamentals. Without that, as a DevOps engineer, when you're scaling your applications, when you're doing DevOps at a certain scale, this will be very, very useful for you. Just do not go to the cloud and try to create the infrastructure and understand that, okay, this is that, right?
Yeah. So because when you are working as a DevOps or cloud engineer, one of the responsibility is to make sure the system is up and running. It is highly available and fault tolerant. Right. So if there is any issue in the production system, you have to do the debugging. Right. And when you don't know about all the networking components that are involved, or what each service or each function does, then it will become really difficult for you to troubleshoot the issue. That's why these concepts are really important.
So PIYUSH, one last question that I have, and this is very important question. That is, are there any portals, are there any websites that you should focus if you are giving an Google interview? Like, for example, there are very popular interview question portals, right, where they will say that these are Google interview questions. I've seen many places like top 50 Google interview questions, top 25 Google interview questions. Or is there anything that Google itself provides saying that you can refer these things? Is there anything like that?
Sure. Yeah, for Google, there is the one website that I've told you about, the Googliness and leadership principles. That is really important. The other that I followed was Glassdoor. So I checked all the interview questions, and not just for Google, for Amazon, Microsoft, in the similar roles. And I didn't focus on just TSC role. I focus on anything related to cloud or DevOps. So I prepared all those questions and all those topics. I just, in depth, I have tried to understand it, and I did not just memorize the concept. I tried to understand it thoroughly in a very simple language. If I understood that in very simple language, only then I will be able to explain it to the recruiter. Right? So that's what I tried, and so that worked out for me. So these two things I have followed
Glassdoor and the Googlieness one.
That one.
I'll take that Googlieness link from you, so that who is trying to apply, they'll benefit, right?
And that particular round, it's not just for cloud or DevOps, it's for every role in Google. It's like one of their hiring pillars. So that is really important type of role.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, that's very good to know. Yeah, Piyush bhai, apart from all of these things, would there be something who is aspiring Google, engineer who wants to get into Google? Is there anything that you would like to say in specific? Apart from this?
Sure. So the only thing that I would say, if focus, try to focus on the area that you are good at, or the one that you think would be good for you. Just don't follow the crowd. If everyone is applying for SUI or SD role, just don't blindly behind them. See if you really like coding, if you really like UI UX development or anything. But if you are not into that, there are still a lot of opportunities out there. So there are a lot of cloud roles, DevOps roles. So try to look each role that Google or any company that has to offer, and try to prepare yourself according to that. But all the roadmaps of these cloud and DevOps roles, this is really standard across the roles. So there is just a few topics here and there, but that's it. And so whatever goal you are inspiring for, whatever role you are inspiring for, just try to focus on that area and don't get diverted from whatever other people are saying. Just keep your focus on one thing, and don't be afraid of giving the interviews. That's what I would say. Whenever, so there are a lot of times it happens, like when we keep getting rejections from one company or many company, we think ourselves as useless, and we think like okay, so I think like IT is not for me. So don't think like that. Just try to look at the positive side of it. So try to think like, okay, so you were doing something good that these companies had given the chance to interview with you, right? So you have been given the chance. Just try to utilize that opportunity. Try to learn from that interview. Okay, so if these companies are asking these things, and I have interviewed with them like 3 or 4 times, and these were the common topics out of all the interviews, so this is what I should focus on. So try to take that opportunity as a learning opportunity and learn from it, and come back strong next time when you are applying again, or when you've been given the chance again. So that's what I would say.
So thank you so much, Piyush bhai, for coming onto the channel, sharing your experience, motivating our subscribers. And
it was all my pleasure.
Yeah, just to let you know, everyone, PIYUSH bhai is doing a completely free Azure training, right? So if anybody is interested in Azure, PIYUSH's channel is the first one that I would recommend. And I think PIYUSH bhai has already done some 15 to 20 videos on Azure already. And
15 videos for Azure, but I did one playlist for GCP as well.
Awesome.
And so for GCP Associate Cloud Engineer certification, it has around 20 videos. So try to look for that as well. And I believe it will be helpful. And feel free to share your feedback so that I could make the content more engaging and more interesting for you.
Thank you so much, PIYUSH bhai. The link is in the description. PIYUSH bhai's YouTube channel, PIYUSH bhai LinkedIn. And I will request all my subscribers to definitely follow PIYUSH bhai. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Abhishek bhai. It was really a pleasure talking to you, and I really enjoyed the session. I hope it will be helpful to everyone. And and keep doing the work that you are doing. It's really inspiring, and it's really like there is something to learn for everyone out there. So thank you so much.
Thank you. See you soon. Take care.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.